Hi friends, this is Marina Shepelsky and this is part 2 of our videos about how immigration court works currently in May of 2022 and beyond. I'm Marina Shepelsky, the founder of Shepelsky Law Group. We are a group of immigration law attorneys, experts in U.S. immigration, and we work with clients to legalize you guys, to get you a green card, to get you your citizenship, to make sure your American dream comes true. So this second part is about the individual hearing, the bench trial, as sometimes people call it, for your case. This is the most important hearing in your case when you get to immigration court as part of the immigration court proceedings, because this is when the judge gets to hear your story. This is when they actually look finally at all the paperwork that you sent. This is when they carefully, sometimes, usually not carefully, between you and me, but this is supposed to be when they carefully review all the paperwork that you submitted in your case. They will look through the background articles. They never look through your background articles. And they will see what happened to you in your home country, or what's going on with your cancellation of removal case. In other words, each type of case has their own standard of what the judge has to look through, what you need to have given them, and what the government has to prove to deport you. Now, it's a scary word. What does it mean to deport you? To deport you meaning to prove their case that you are removable and should be removed or deported to your country. And it doesn't mean that anybody's going to put handcuffs on you, but it does mean that you will get a judge's order, a court order, saying that you should be removed. You don't belong in the United States because you didn't prove your case according to them. So if you have asylum, you have to prove that you are credible, meaning you are to be believed. You're not a liar. You are truthful. You have to prove that you are in a category of people that we protect as a country. Categories of people that get persecuted are people that get abused in their home country because of their nationality, race, religion, ethnic group, social group. If their political opinion is in the minority in the country, and the police and the government and the majority are like beating you up when you lived in the country, they were beating you up because you had a political opinion. You were against the government, you were criticizing the government, you were unhappy with corruption. That's actually the fifth category, and that's called social group. If you were LGBTQ, gay, trans, and in your country that's like maybe heavily Muslim or heavily Catholic, somebody like you could have gotten killed and badly hurt, and maybe you were badly hurt. All of this has to be proven, plus you have to prove either that you were already abused and persecuted when you lived there, or that you're likely to be abused or persecuted when you return, if you have to return, if you get deported. All of these things have to be proved through your story, the questions that your attorney will be asking you, and that's called direct examination, and through your paperwork, and that's called your evidence. The story you tell is also called testimony, and it goes in the court's record. When you talk, the court records everything you say, and then they make a transcript out of it. There's a written record of every word you say in court during your immigration court case. You usually have an interpreter or a translator sitting next to you, and the government, or now with the remote cases, they're going to be on the speakerphone. They will listen to you on the speakerphone, and they will be available to translate for court on loudspeaker, okay? And that's, if your case is remote. If your case is in person, they will sit next to you at the hearing. The government attorney, who is called chief counsel, or assistant chief counsel attorney, will sit across from you, or they will be on the phone if you're doing this remotely. And they will ask you a question about your case as well, and that's called cross-examination. Now, their job is to ask very direct, pointed questions like, isn't it true, Mr. So-and-so, that on this date you didn't go to this place where you said you went? And why does this document say this, but you just testified to this, And their job is to make you look like a liar, to discredit you, to show there's holes in your story, to show inconsistencies in your story, and to show you are not credible, that you are not truthful, you're lying. So everyone has their own job. Your lawyer has a right to make an opening statement, just to say something in the beginning of the case, and a closing statement. The other attorney as well. So the government has a right to, to say something as well. Sometimes, and it happens a lot, the two attorneys will have a conference with the judge. So the three attorneys in the room, by the way, your immigration judge is an attorney as well. So the immigration judges, the two lawyers, will have a conversation about the case, and you might not understand, but they will probably be discussing the legalities of the case, maybe even working out a settlement in your case. And sometimes the judge will truthfully tell your lawyer that I don't think I'm going to grant this, but maybe the government can offer you something else. And if your attorney and the government attorney agree to something, then the court just orders it, and you don't even need to have the whole hearing. Sometimes the two sides can agree to only have a hearing about certain parts of the case. That happens all the time. Sometimes they agree to give you your case, to grant you whatever you're asking for without a hearing, because your record, and I've had that happen to us a lot. Our attorneys have come back to the office and said, our record was so good that the judge says, you don't even need to talk about this. This is too painful. We believe you. The government says, okay, we believe her, and it's approved and it's granted. If everybody agrees, the judge just orders it, and you get a court order that your case for asylum is approved. For cancellation of removal cases, that's legalizing through being here over 10 years, being a good moral character, having U.S. citizen children or spouse here with medical problems, with educational hardship, special needs. If they were to go back to your country, they would be perishing there. They would die there. They wouldn't get the treatment they need, right? At the individual hearing, it's just you and your attorney and the interpreter and the government's attorney. Of course, the judge hears all this. There's no other people, unlike the master calendar hearing, when you could be sitting physically in a room with like 20 other people, or just being on the phone one at a time, but that day the judge might have 20 other people on their calendar. When you start the individual hearing, you first get sworn in by the judge, who asks you if you understand you're under oath. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? All you have to say is yes, that you agree to this proceeding. Again, briefly, some formalities are discussed, the language, the interpreter, and then usually they allow the two lawyers to talk between themselves, to talk to the judge, and then the case starts, and the attorney for you, the respondent's attorney, and by the way, you're called a respondent in these hearings, will start with a direct examination. The questions he or she prepared for you to talk about your case, to tell your story. If you have a green card through marriage case, for example, you could be answering questions with your spouse, and your spouse should be there with you about your marriage or about your green card application, arrests, medical exam, things like that. So it depends what you're doing, but you usually have your interpreter there. Your attorney has direct examination questions. The other side has cross-examination questions, the government attorney. Your story gets to be told by you answering a series of questions by your lawyers. You don't just get to talk. And sometimes the judge will ask you questions herself. So it's not always just your lawyer questioning you or the government attorney. Sometimes the judge wants to talk to you and ask you questions and ask you about your paperwork. So be prepared with your attorney to respond to all of this in detail. And if you have a good lawyer, and our attorneys are very good, and we do this for our clients, we prepare several times for this hearing. We ask you all the questions in the office, so there's nothing hard at the hearing that comes up that you never heard before. This is how we prepare. We prepare all the paperwork. We submit it into the court's electronic portal ahead of time. We make sure all the deadlines are met. And we do print out those background articles about your country and its history and send it to the judge. And we highlight the parts that have to do with your story or your category. So that's in a nutshell what will happen at your individual hearing. Make sure you have good attorneys on your side. Make sure you prepare at least a month ahead. You begin preparing. Make sure you understand everything that will happen to you. And we are here for you if you're ready to start your immigration journey in the United States. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to our channel. Give us a like if you love this video, and we'll see you around.